Welcome to Through the Ruth, where we explore life inside the walls we call home and the lives we build within them. I'm Ruth, property professional, storyteller and lover of all things home. Each week, we'll open the door to real stories behind the scenes of the property industry, design, inspiration and practical tips for shifting house, creating calm spaces and keeping your home safe, secure and beautifully comfortable. Because whether you own, rent or simply dream, everyone deserves to feel at home. So make yourself at home. You're listening to Through the Ruth. Hello and welcome to Through the Ruth. I'm glad you're here. In this space where we talk about the heart of home, not just about bricks and mortar, but the people, the stories, the laughter, tears and everything that happens behind the front door. Today's episode is about something many of us have experienced at some time in our lives, which is living with other people. Whether it's family, flatmates, a partner, grown-up children who somehow never quite grow out, or even that one friend who is only supposed to have stayed for the weekend and accidentally celebrated Christmas with you. Sharing a home is rarely boring. Living alone has its comforts. You always know who left the cupboard door open. The answer is you. But living with others, that's where life becomes wonderfully educational. Because when you share a home, you don't just share walls, you share habits. You discover that one person believes dishes should be washed immediately after eating. Another believes they should be left to soak, which apparently can last somewhere between 3 business days and the full moon. Someone folds towels with military precision. Someone else thinks folding means throwing them over the nearest chair. And don't even get me started on the thermostat when it comes to heating and cooling. One person is wearing socks, a jumper and a blanket while declaring they're absolutely freezing. Another has every window open in the middle of winter because they just need some fresh air. Homes become tiny democracies where nobody actually agrees on anything. But underneath all those little irritations is something much bigger. Sharing a home teaches us that the world isn't organised exactly the way that we are. And that's probably good news, because if everyone loaded the dishwasher exactly the same, we'd have nothing to debate over dinner. Of course, not every story is funny though. Sometimes living with others is genuinely hard work. Perhaps you've lived with someone who's left every emotional conversation until 10 minutes before bedtime, or someone who believes communication meant sighing dramatically instead of actually saying what was wrong. Maybe you've experienced the exhaustion of carrying more than your fair share. The cooking, the cleaning, the organising, remembering birthdays, buying toilet paper before there isn't any left. It's amazing how invisible some jobs are until nobody else does them. Sharing a home can expose our frustrations faster than almost anything else. It asks uncomfortable questions. Am I patient? Am I considerate? Do I apologise too easily? Do I expect people to read my mind? The truth is, homes have a funny way of revealing who we really are. Not who we pretend to be in public, but the real us. The version wearing old track pants at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. The version who's tired. The version who's hungry. The version who stepped out on a piece of Lego. That's the person our housemates eat. And somehow they keep loving us anyway. One of the greatest gifts of sharing a home isn't financial. Yes, splitting the rent or bills can certainly help. And especially in this current climate with how expensive things are, sharing can really benefit. But the richer rewards are often invisible. You learn flexibility. You learn that your way isn't always the only way. You learn compromise. You learn that kindness sometimes looks like making someone a cup of tea without being asked. Or quietly taking the rubbish out because you noticed it was full, even if it's not your job. Or leaving the last slice of cake because someone else had a hard day. These aren't grand gestures. They're little acts that quietly say, I see you. Homes are built on those moments far more than they're built on matching cushions. There's something else that we can gain too, which is perspective. When we live with people from different generations, backgrounds or personalities, we begin to understand lives outside of our own. We begin to learn empathy. Perhaps your housemate grew up in a noisy household where everyone spoke over each other. You grew up where silence meant respect. Neither is wrong, they're just very different. Living together gives us front row seats to someone else's story. And the story often softens our judgment. Sometimes it creates a clash. Sometimes we discover that what we thought was laziness was actually exhaustion. What looked like distance was anxiety. What sounded like criticism was simply someone who had never learnt another way to communicate. Empathy often grows in kitchens that are shared, especially while waiting for the kettle to boil. Of course, there are boundaries too. Sharing a home doesn't mean accepting behaviour that hurts or diminishes you. Healthy homes still need honest communications. Sometimes the kindest thing that we can say is, we need to talk. It's not because we're angry, because relationships matter enough to repair. And isn't that really what home is? Not perfection, but repair. A place where misunderstandings can become conversations, where mistakes become apologies, where ordinary Tuesday evenings somehow become the memories we treasure years later. I often think we'll remember very few spotless kitchens, but we will remember the laughing so hard that someone snorted tea through their nose, or weed. We'll remember late night chats around the dining table, the spontaneous dance in the kitchen while dinner was burning, the neighbour who popped in just for 5 minutes and somehow stayed until midnight. We'll remember being known, really known, because that's one of the greatest privileges of sharing a home. Someone notices when you're unusually quiet. Someone asks if you're okay. Someone celebrates your little victories, and someone saves you the last biscuit. Or you might save it for them. Now, admittedly, if they eat the last biscuit without asking, that's a whole nother episode entirely that I think I might need to cover. So today, whenever you find yourself living with family, friends, strangers, or perhaps longing for people to share your home with, I hope you're reminded that homes are living things. They're shaped by grace, by patience, laughter, and forgiveness. And yes, occasionally by negotiating whose turn it is to empty the damn dishwasher. Because the heart of home has never been about having perfect people under one roof. Imperfect people choosing day after day to live together with a little more understanding than what they had yesterday. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me here on Through the Ruth. Until next time, may your home be filled with kindness, your kettle always boil just when you need it, and may someone else remember to buy the toilet paper before it's too late. Take care. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow Through the Ruth wherever you get your podcasts. And if you've got a story about your home and your experiences, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out, ruth@thepmboutique.com.au. So until next time, take a deep breath, look around and remember, home is what you make it.